All right, all right. What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Coming in. What's up, Bowser? CW is here. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Simple Rick. Simple Rick, dog. I'm sorry to break it to you, but also maybe not. Like, sorry, but you're not gonna see $16, dude. It's not gonna happen. I mean, what do I know? I can always I can always be wrong, but um we're not going below. We're not going below that 2x cash value, my friend. We're not going below that. Tom is here. What's up, Tom? Christian, what's up, my guy? Guido giving us the old pip hello. What's up, Guido? Dingus Pingus. Dingus Pingus is here, everybody. We can start. It's not going to $16, dude. It's not happening. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not happening. $16, like GameStop would have to go ahead and like lose like $1.5 billion. I don't know. Like they'd have to go negative for $1.5 billion for you to get to $16 at this point. Like I was so excited yesterday because this was confirmation for me that they can't get the price below. They won't accept, like, right? Because this is the thing. Okay, you have short parties, you have short institutions that'll walk the price down, but like there are other institutions. I don't know. Do they just like monitor equities and they're like, okay, well here's what the value is. So anytime like they have algorithms that are just on patrol, that's like, okay, we established this as fair value. Like we established, 2x cash as fair market value. So if it goes below that, like it just get like the algorithms just go like, oh, buy, right? So that they can't, so that it can. And so that basically told me yesterday when we went to exactly 2x cash, yesterday. It was like, it can't go below 2x cash. That's the magic formula. And that's what we did. I promised in today's video that we would talk about this. Let me lower the table over here. There we go. Right, I promised we'd talk about this today, and we can take a look at our bottoms, and you'll see we haven't gone below 2x cash. We haven't gone below 2x cash, so we'll look at that in a sec. Ronnie, welcome. Good to see you. Ricky Kitty, welcome. That's a new. I've seen you elsewhere on X, but not in the stream chat. What's up, dude? Dog, what? What are you talking about? What do you mean I cost you your house? $25. What do you mean? Dude, if you did 0 DTE calls, I have no sympathy for you. I have no sympathy for you if you did that. I don't know how many times I can say, don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do that. Not trade advice, but don't do that. Yeah, man. That's a really good sign. Look, short term, again, right? Disappointing. Yeah, hey, like I said, right? This is what I wrote up today, that basically if we were looking at normalized options conditions, and we had huge options volume. We were going to be looking at, we could easily see a move up toward 25 and then close towards max pain. But the options market maker was not in control of this today. The options market was not in control of this today, and it specifically has to do with this right here, all of this off exchange volume. What this basically says, right? So we can pop over here, take a look. What was all that off exchange volume? Great to take a look on Red Stripe Tie. Oh no! Right? What is this? Let's make a nice big screen here. So what is this? This is major institutions going, oh, it's time. Oh, right. This is one of the signals, guys. This is like this is what, in combination with the due diligence of old. This is what the beginning or the preparation for a major price up looks like. This is where every major institution goes, oh man, I got to get a piece of that, right? These are, Ultimator pointed this out today. A lot of these are qualified contingent trades with no accompanying options leg, or weirdly none side deep in the money puts. Ton of those came up in 80K blocks today. So those are, I guess those are hedging. Those are hedges, something like that. So those are probably long, deep in the money long puts. So, if they're deep in the money, they're not going to get super affected by IV. And then, so my guess is that these are all trades at the ask that are, this is massive share accumulation at this price, at this area, which is slightly above 2x cash, with the knowledge that in several days they're just going to get $1.5 billion and there's going to be a price up. Like, as I said, we'll go take a look. Let's hop over to TraderView right here. Promise I would point this out to you guys earlier. This is basically right. This is part of how I was able to call some of those bottoms last year, right? So in the fall. So how was I? What was one of the factors that let me know that the bottom was in here, right? It was after we got this kind of sell-off. I knew we would sell off in here. So all right. Right, we had something like in here at $10, $9.95. This was this low, right? You can see this. Yeah, you can see this. This was this low back here at $10.95. Back here, GameStop had maybe $1 billion. I don't even know that they had $1 billion in cash. Maybe close to it. They had, I think, just shy. I think they had like 900 million in cash. They had that French loan, that super low interest French loan. They had just had a profitable year, but basically there were swaps that needed to get rolled in here that were in April. What's different this year is the swaps that needed to be rolled last year in April. Richard's been really good at tracking this. Richard Newton's been super good at this. He's been able to track the bottoms, and he basically cracked the code and figured out that they basically, whatever this Red Star series of swaps is that he talks about, they've been walking this up by about a month every year. So it alternates, right? So not sure how they do that, but the April swap, the mid-April swap or late April swap here is basically what we're looking at now, right? What's being rolled today and into Monday was in mid to late April, was in late April then, right? So this has been walked up, on a 2-year cycle here. Okay, or a 1-year cycle here. They're not the same swaps. They're like different ones. So it's like there's a 2-year swap. So this would have been like these were entered into in March of 23. So here, yeah, somebody swapped GameStop. Here, man. This is when these were upped, right? So the swaps that just happened that are being rolled now or have been rolled yesterday, or if they're closed or whatever's going on, those swaps were entered into here, right? So really interesting. Richard's done a really good job at tracing this stuff without looking at the SBOE swap data, which is really interesting. He reached all of these conclusions independently, and then right. So I've just been looking through Matsy's data, which he's pulled. I don't know if he got this from Always Sad But Truthful or if he just pulled it himself, right? But you can see, it tells you when these swaps are entered into. So yeah, it tells you. We have some, not that much, coming up in April. So Yeah, these ones. Oh, it had it here. When were these opened? Execution. Here's the timestamp for the execution. So these were entered into in early April. The 31st, they were entered into early April. So these are the dates are right. So these were early April. So they kind of walk up a little bit, right? And the ones for the 28th, the ones for today, actually a mix. Some of these were 1 year. These are like a mix of 1 year and 2 year swaps. So April 1st, March 26th, March 18th. And I don't know why. I think they just like set it as the last options expiry in March. Like, I don't know why they set that date. But Richard is correct. Some of these were entered into in August of 23. Yeah, some of these were last year. These were up to last year and then kicked out to right now, which was bad, right? Like, okay, so last year we had that there. We got walked down all the way to that 995 bit. So if we bump back over now here, right, this was like 3x cash. So we had, I think we had about 300 million shares, slightly over 300 million shares outstanding, and $1 billion in cash. So let's see, if the price was 10, the market cap of the company would have been, if it was $10 a share, we had 300 million outstanding, should have been about 3 billion for a market cap, which would have been 3x cash, because we had about $1 billion cash on hand. Okay, so, and which is what makes it nonsense that, well, Wedbush would come in basically through here, and say like, oh, GME is trading at 3x cash. Man, it was trading at 3x cash here when this happened. So get out of here, dog. I can grouse more about Wedbush. All right. Then we came down here on the 17th. This was after, right? So this got the legs cut out from under it, supposedly, right? By the, well, yeah, I mean, we came down in part because we had a bunch of, like, I don't know, immediate shorting after the at the market offering. So we came down to 1750. So 1750 would have been, we had 2 billion cash at that point, and increased shares outstanding to 340. So share price 1750 to about 340 million is about a 6 billion market cap. So we had 2, but yeah, so this was 3x cash here. And then, but this time when we came down, we were 1850. We had another 2 billion on top of that, right? So we had 400 million shares outstanding times the share price of the Nikkei bottom was 1850. Yeah, so that would have been slightly under 2x cash, and we didn't even spend like an hour down there before we moved back into the 1950s. So this was all the way over here after the at the market offering, after the Q2 earnings run up bit there, right? We were down to 1950. So that I think would have been, I think it was 1930. So we had, yeah, exactly. I think we had 4.2 billion in cash. So we had 1950 or 1930 times shares outstanding was 400 million, slightly more. So yeah, that was only slightly under 2x cash. And then we got the capital infusion, and then we came down again. So basically, like, we've only very briefly kind of dipped under 2x cash at each of these moments. So then we got the capital infusion here. It got bought up, and then we flew up again, and then we moved down again. And then here, when it was 2030, right now we had that extra 400 million or so on 20 million shares, slightly more. I think it was 440 million. And total shares outstanding went up to 400, I guess like 460 million, maybe 440, 460 million. So then we had, of course, our big episode here, but this is essentially where we are again. So when I saw that come up yesterday, I was like, oh, we're right there again. Okay. As soon as we get this capital infusion, it's going to look like this, or it's going to look like this, or it's, as soon as we get the new one, it'll look like we looked here. So we'll move up. Maybe we'll come back down a little bit if we don't get the Bitcoin investment right away. But it'll look like this, and we'll just shoot right up as soon as the at the market offering is completed. I'm pretty sure this one too, right? So we got the second ATM came all the way down here, which was slightly higher. It was actually slightly higher than 2x cash, but when it was completed, up we went. And that's what we found out too. Institutions were accumulating every time this happened. Every time we get institutional filings, it turns out that major institutions are the ones who buy up these shares. Now, a lot of them end up unaccounted for, but it's major institutions who buy this up. So what happened today? Well, even before, right, where are we going here? There we go. So even before we have the convertible notes available, what are institutions doing? They're buying shares. They want to get on the ride. So very interesting. That kept the price 75%. A very strange day, right? Very strange day to see that level of volume and then the price just stagnant. A very narrow trading range. Did we even move a dollar? Oh, look at us go. Oh, they're probably rolling the swap now. Or trying to. 21.59. How are we doing? Yeah, just moving down. Down, 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 down. But, right, why is this exciting? Well, because the company has already given us a heads up on what we can expect for the completion of the offering, right? So Ryan Cohen and company already tell us that April 1st, they expect the offering to be completed. And what's that going to look like? Well, on the one hand, we have our previous at the market offerings to reference, but on the other hand, we have MicroStrategy to reference. So this really everything here that Ryan Cohen is doing is, it is a copy of what Michael Saylor did with MicroStrategy. So I would recommend you guys go check out these filings. I've just been reading through MicroStrategy's filing since 2020 today. So if you go over to their website, now it's just called Strategy, right? No longer MicroStrategy, but it's just called Strategy. And you can see, if you take a look at how all of this unfolded on December 7th of 2020. So it was right around their earnings. In fact, let's go take a look at the MicroStrategy chart. Everybody loves the charts. Chart. MSTR. Let's move back to 2020. Here we go. There it is. Right. Here we go. The 7th, actually, was this after earnings? Yeah, this was actually independent from earnings. But in any case, right, earnings, around earnings, so this was October of 2020 is when Saylor announced the Bitcoin strategy. When this was put in place, started to move up. Big peak in December. This is basically all on speculation, I think, of what they're of the change of strategy. And then maybe he'd started to acquire some Bitcoin, and then he did this first accretive offering. So what's really important, again, is to note that just like the at-the-market offerings last year, these convertible notes offerings it's not really right to call them dilutive offerings because they do not, and I talked about this a little bit in today's video, they do not distribute, right? So if you think about the company as having, let's say, a fixed sum of value, a dilutive offering injects value into the company, but value that does not exceed the degree to which the injector of said value is compensated for that injection by having value distributed to previous shareholders transferred to him, right? So that would be a dilutive offering, meaning so the injection of value actually comes at a greater expense to the shareholders than the sum of the value that is immediately injected into the company by the newcomer. Okay, that's truly what a dilutive offering is. What GameStop has been doing is a series of accretive offerings. So GameStop, yes, has been increasing the size of the pie, but this is what's different than like a normal equity raise, right? I tried to run a startup ice cream company in my young 20s. I made some progress with it with my business partners, but I went through some of this and like saw like, okay, like here's how this works. Basically, like if you want somebody to fund your startup, like what you got to do is you have to give away essentially more than you're getting. So like you get money put into the company, but it doesn't increase the valuation of the company at a rate that reprices your share of the company to a degree that is in such a way that individual, right, your individual shares increase in value right away. Now, the idea is you're taking a short-term sacrifice of your value, you're diluting in the short term so that in the long term, the injection of that value will grow, and then everybody's piece of the pie over time becomes much more valuable. With GameStop here and with Saylor with MicroStrategy as well, these are not dilutive offerings, they are accretive offerings in the sense that immediately upon the injection of the capital, the company becomes more valuable. So the newcomer is getting less from the company than is being given in the short term. So simply by doing the offering, the company becomes more valuable at a rate that increases the value of everybody's shares. Wow, right? That like this is very rare. Like, oh, this is interesting. Like, I could never, when we're doing this whole ice cream company thing, like nobody ever offered an accretive entry into the company. So this is very interesting to look at. And so what, so what MicroStrategy and what these convertible notes offerings are proposing to do is exactly that. So what I suppose, right, if you look at the language is identical, right? 400 million in convertible notes, although GameStop is starting way sooner, right? Although I will say, very interestingly, our offering, our at the market offering, the public offering on in December of last year, I wonder, hey, I wonder, do you think that Ryan Cohen, because that was a weird offering, right? That 20 million, the 20 million shares, why did that need it? What was the extra 400 mil for? Like, okay, it was nice to have it, 440 mil, something like that. No, I think it was exactly 400 mil, right? Something like that. But was he, like, in hindsight, was he trying to look like, was he doing that to sort of signal, right? It happened in December. It happened on December 11th, not December 7th. Or no, oh, I'm sorry. My dating is off. No, it would have been September. It would have been September 10th is when he announced that one. But maybe. Very similar acquisition. Could still be the case. Something. I don't know. I'm getting all tinfoily. But in any case, 400 million, right, was the valuation of the first convertible senior note offering by MicroStrategy. And what did they do? In successive days, right? They got the pricing the very next day on the 8th was the pricing day, which was announced on the 9th. And then this ended up being a 650 million because, right, just like ours is technically it's a 1.3 billion. Buyers had the option to buy an additional, let's see, does it say this here? They had the option to buy an additional 250 million of notes. It's not in this one. No, it's in the pricing one. Interesting. They're a little different, but all the language is essentially the same, right? So the 130% clause is the same. Redemption price, very low interest, right? So GameStop, amazing. They're going to have 0% interest on these notes. Very interestingly. I don't think they have the pay, right, because there's no interest, there's no payable semi-annually in arrears. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Yeah. Pricing of its offering of 550 million with an additional 100 million. So there it is. Yeah, that's how it got to 650. So ours is the same, except ours is going to be 1.3 billion with an additional 200 million. So it took a grand total of, right, 5 days, September 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep, 5 days for them to announce the completion of this offering. And GameStop has essentially the same timeline. So back in 2020, did that happen over a weekend or was that midweek here? That was over the course of a week. So between Monday the 7th and Friday the 11th. So Monday they announced it. They priced it on Tuesday, the 8th. The 9th is when they announced the completion of the pricing. The 11th is when they completed it. So GameStop is expecting this offering to be complete on Tuesday. So GameStop's about to get probably another 1.5 billion. Free 1.5 billion to then go and invest. What I think they'll do is I think they're going to go ahead and keep their cash pile. So I think the pre-existing cash pile that we have is not going to change. They're not going to change that because that guarantees profitability with respect to their core operation. It keeps the floor steady and rising very slowly. So it keeps, for example, the swaps that we just looked at and just pointed out, the swaps that are expiring today. It keeps those, any swap that's that low is permanently underwater. It's impossible, right? So that's what I talked about earlier. It's impossible to get out from that. So there's no way the stock with $4.7 billion, right? We figured out that the state of the legacy business, which is improving, the state of the legacy business and that cash pile equals a cash floor of, a price to book value floor of at least $21, not lower. And it's only even just that is going to go up. And now they're doing another accretive offering, which is going to increase their total cash by like 40 something percent. Is that right? Yeah. And maybe they plow that into Bitcoin. But now on top of that, right? So like, even if they take that and plow that into Bitcoin, like that can be volatile, sure. And so the new floor, which is going to be like a minimum of $25 as soon as that gets priced, this minimum of $25 will be the new 21, essentially. As soon as that's priced in, like, even if Bitcoin is variable, it's still not going to go, like if they do Bitcoin or they do some asset and it's all over the place, it's still not going to, it still can't go below 21, right? Like maybe even if it loses, even if that investment loses half of its value, you're looking at a minimum floor of like 2350, which is, and then they'll do more of these, just like MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy just kept doing these and kept doing them bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So very, very interesting. We can go into that a little bit more. Let's take a look. Comments. Yeah, dog, easy. Yeah, okay. By the way, I spoke about this earlier in the week. But this is two things, okay? So this is slow ass. It's happening now. This is it. It's not just like, well, is he going to do more ATMs or what's the strategy going forward or what's happening with the business? No, dude, it's slow ass. Number one, a la MicroStrategy, and number two is GameShare stop away. So just this whole week has just been bomb after bomb after bomb for anybody who's been following in the GameStop investment community for a while. It's just like, GameShare stop away. Is it that like they know we say this stuff, right? They know that we say this stuff, and so like, let's go over to the the investor page. We looked at this on Tuesday. Put this in the put this in my video, right? Oh, this is a senior notes offering. Yeah, I did the comparison for you guys, right? Looking exactly like Berkshire Hathaway. This is Gameshire stop away. It's happening. How long, how many months? Gameshire stop away, slow ass, all these things. It's happening. This is it. This is the company basically coming out and telling us as directly as they could, this is indeed what we're doing. Going forward, we are doing slow ass and we are doing Gameshire stop away. That's real. On the look put for after hours announcement that the sale has been completed. It could be today. Yeah. They said April 1, but April Fools, eh? Let's see. Y'all can keep an eye on it. What are we looking at here? We're not pumping after hours yet, so yeah, we're chilling. We're gonna roll this swap or something. Oh, you look out. Yeah, that makes more sense. I'm stupid. Hey, thanks, Paul. Thank you. What's up, man? That's a great week. Fantastic. Hello, Oliver Holtz. What? I did not. What? I did not. I did not short GameStop. I told you what they would do. I told you guys. I told you this would happen. Now, granted, did I think we were immediately going to 2x cat? Like on Wednesday, was I like, oh, we're definitely going to $21 now? No, I didn't say that, right? So like even that caught me a little off guard how hard they went. But like on Wednesday, I was like, it's they're gonna do the thing. They're gonna do it. And oh, they did it. I guess that's all I have to say about that. Maybe, man. Maybe, but we already have more cash on hand. Could we dip down there for like, if we do, it's going to be like one of these episodes, I think, where we just kind of dip down below, like maybe for like 30 minutes or something on some crazy market dip. And we do see some market volatility coming in. So, market volatility on Q, JPM collar trade coming up on Monday. That's going to get rolled. It's going to be in the money. And then, yeah, April OPEX. Maybe we go down, but I don't know. I don't see it further in GameStop. No, like I said, this week I didn't think we were going to see $21. Well, I thought, okay, maybe I thought that this super hard move down, like really hard down, I expected to kind of play out over a little bit more of a longer time frame. So I was kind of looking midweek when we were way up there. I was like, we're gonna move back down. They're gonna move us back down to roll that swap, which they did. The market maker is not going to let us finish very far away from max pain. They're not going to let they're not going to let it the 30s or the 29s, right? Like I was talking on Wednesday. They weren't going to let that finish in the money. But what I guess I didn't put the dots together was like, oh, hey, what happened to MicroStrategy in 2020 when they did the convertible note offering? And they got pushed down super hard too for the pricing day. So that was a new thing. Hey, I'm learning, right? I learn every quarter. Like I said earlier in the week when they announced the whole Bitcoin thing and the convertible note stuff, I was like, all right, another quarter where it's time to completely rebuild the model because now we have a new dimension of something to learn. And this is now different. Here's another big chart. There's another bunch of charts I got to go look at. And here's another, here's a bunch of 10Ks and whatever that I got to go read through. Like, all right, it's another quarter. Time to do it again. So here we go. But I don't know about $20. Is my point, I guess. What's up, man? CDLJ 27. Hey there, Jay. December 27 leaps were added yesterday. Midweek, no other quarterlies for 2027 were opened. Means there's a market. That's what it means. Right, so these convertible notes, I think, Richard also had a really good model of this the other day. So, but they work so convertible notes work like call options. In fact, that's how Investopedia describes them, like really long dated call options. So, hey, if somebody wants to buy 5-year calls, why wouldn't somebody want to buy 2.5-year calls? Yeah, right. Oh, wait, those are December 2027 leaps, right? Not January. So that's far. Yeah, that's it's March, going to be April. So that's more than 2.5 years. Yeah. Yeah, I bet you the options market maker saw the opportunity. Oh, man, if they're buying convertible notes, they're essentially buying 5-year call options. So why wouldn't they go buy the convertible notes? The options market maker makes no money from that. The options market maker doesn't collect premium, can't arbitrage that, can't get the fees. But they can do leaps. They can get that from leaps. So that wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. Same, dude. Nice. Yeah, that's certainly a lucky number. Isn't that in Richard's name? Richard's Twitter handle? rnewton7777. It's also lucky number Slevin, the movie. Oh, man. Yeah. How could you not be? This is the thing, and this is why like spending all this time is like it pays off so much, because if you're just kind of casually looking at charts and you're just like, oh, what's going on there, right? And you don't know what's behind this. You look like, oh yeah, okay, Kramer's talking smack about the Bitcoin strategy, and like Schiff is not happy about it or whatever. You're like, that's super steep, super volatile. I want to stay away from this. You don't even realize what you're looking at. But if you've been following this like we have, and my gosh, putting in the hours and making content and doing these write-ups and doing these analytics, whatever, I gotta do. Tell you what, I gotta do I was even saying this like a couple weeks ago, that I was gonna get to 1 year, and then basically like maybe I do it before that, because I did a 6-month right back in like January. I did like a big 6-month kind of reflection on the story so far and what had developed, sort of what had happened in terms of price action, and what that what that told us, what that added in terms of what's going on with the company. So this is a 9-month one. Maybe I'll make it to a year, but do a kind of bigger reflection like that. I wanted to. And by the way, shout out goes to you, not medical advice. Thank you, my friend, for joining the monthly support tier. I really appreciate that. I spend many thousands of dollars a year on these data subscriptions, and it goes a long way. So thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate that. I don't know what that means. Is it a good amount? I don't know. It's better than none. It's better than 1. It's better than 1,255. At least I think. But that's my investment, right? I'm invested in GameStop. So if somebody was like, would you like 1,255 shares of GameStop or 1,256 shares of GameStop? I'm going to go, I'll take 1,256. If somebody said, hey, would you like 1,257 shares of GameStop or 1,256? I'll be like, well, give me the 1,257. Right? More invested in the company. I think it's a winner. That's me, though. I'm just this random internet dude. Oh, saw, dude. Oh, Gamma Chad. What's up, man? It is ticking up again. Yeah, I mean, I really wonder, because like they rumored that Bitcoin thing. I even wondered if the company, I wonder if like Cohen even like let that stuff slip, man. Like so here's what I was I was chatting with some folks earlier about this, and what I really think. Oh, this was the other thing that we were going to talk about, right? So I was going to talk about who is it? It's going to buy these convertible notes. I guess one option, right? I kind of got excited for a second there. Maybe it's the case that Sultan Al-Mahdi might get involved. He might somehow involve like connections through the Qatari Sovereign Wealth Fund, because he used to be a manager of the Qatari Sovereign Wealth Fund. Maybe he gets some of that money involved. Not sure, but maybe it's even just like the threat that there are foreign entities that might come and buy these, that they're not restricted from buying them. They're being offered in a way that it can be done privately. That this can be publicized to people who want to hold, who want exposure to Bitcoin, or want basically 5-year call options on GameStop. This is not going to be the last of these. The part of the strategy involves basically doing this quarterly. So when Ryan Cohen and co get going, like Saylor, like this is what I mean. Like if you go check out, go check these out. Like Saylor just kept doing these, man. He just kept doing these. When did he do his next one? 3 months later, he did another 600 million. Which came to $1 billion. So he got $1 billion 2 months later. So now he's up to 1.6 in equity raises. June, he does another one. June 14th. Which, what does this even come to? Where's the completion? I don't see the completion one, but that's in June of 2021. All right, then it looked like he took a break for a little bit. Then he got a collateralized loan on the 29th, low interest, to purchase Bitcoin. And even more recently, he did more. I think 2020, he just kept purchasing, so he was somehow raising money to get Bitcoin. Did another one March 4th, 2024. Did another one, so ended up being 800 million on March 11th. March 13th, he immediately did another one. Dog did 2 back to back. He did 800 million on March 11th of last year. And then that wasn't enough. So he did another 600 million immediately again. I think he did another, right? So then in June of 2024, June of last year, he did another one. Completed for 800 million. Does a stock split. September of last year, he did another 700 million. Notice of redemption. But that 700 million he completed for $1 billion, September 20th. Interestingly, same day we had that massive volume over on GameStop, actually. Did he do another one? I think he did one more. Yeah, did another one. And 6 weeks later, he's doing 3 billion. 6 weeks later, he raised 3 billion last year. He just keeps raising money. This is the strategy. More accretive offerings. And so between the time that he started doing this, and, well, I guess the time that he announced the Bitcoin strategy and the highs in here, MicroStrategy was up 50x. So, okay, so what does this have to do with, like, me speculating about whether this was known or whether this was leaked out ahead of time right? Because we got those reports that were like total speculation. I was like, what? Where is this coming from? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, this isn't even, we haven't heard any news from the company. This is a weird rumor. Where did this come out? Part of me wonders if this was generally circulated by the company. You might say, but Michael, why would that happen? Why would the company do that? Why wouldn't you want to surprise shorts or something like that? These institutions, and part of it is, as I said, I was talking earlier. This phrase: "Build your enemy a golden bridge to retreat across." So this is from Sun Tzu's The Art of War, and basically Sun Tzu's whole thing is about victory, and is about teaching right? How not to fight in war. How do you win in war? To be the most supreme victor in all battles is to win without fighting, right? This is from Sun Tzu. You win your battle prior to the expenditure of resources, prior to the expenditure of men, right? A good general relies upon superior planning and tactics, not upon the quality of his soldiers. So the idea is, you win the battle with positioning, so you don't have to fight it. And if you need to capture some ground or you need to capture some city, position yourself such that your enemy is not positioned within the city or on that ground exactly with nowhere to go. Because if you position him on that ground with nowhere to go, he will fight to the death. So fighting to the death, as we've seen, okay, what happened back in 2021? That was a fight to the death scenario for a lot of institutions. Okay. That was turn off the buy button. That was get the government involved and basically get them to say, yes, okay, you're allowed to manipulate the market in this egregiously awful way, because if you don't, then the international security regime is going to fall apart and the global economic system could fall apart. So yeah, okay, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. But if you build them a golden bridge to retreat across, I think it was Region Formal talked about this, you can get the situation where you get the institutions basically to dogpile in against each other, which is what we're already seeing here. So they'll see the writing on the wall and they'll go, okay, well, the first ones in are going to make the most money out of this. The first ones in are going to make the most money out of this, number one. The last ones out don't get to live. They don't get to keep fighting, right? So if you're not short, congratulations, you can just hop in and you can start profiting from this now and start putting on the pressure by being among the institutions to begin handing over this accretive capital to GameStop now. If you are short GameStop, if you have these legacy short positions or these short swap positions, then you can close out. And part of the way that you close out is, well, you take on these convertible notes as hedges or something like that, right, to your swap position, so that eventually it goes up, it goes up, goes up. You can unwind that position, but it's not going to mess with your margin. It's not going to threaten you falling apart because you've got it hedged with these convertible notes, which get priced in. They get over the counter pricings, and then eventually, what you see is you'll have somebody like Citadel, right? So Citadel, Region Formal pointed this out today. Citadel was a major player that was short MicroStrategy going into late 2020. And it wasn't until, 2022 or 2023 that Citadel revealed, maybe later, revealed 13G. Maybe it's 2024, revealed the 13G. We can just go look at Region's post here, actually. All right, so Citadel revealed the 13G, signaling that they had acquired a net long position. So it's that same tried, it's essentially a meme, but it's that scene in The Big Short where Michael Burry has these, I think they're total return swaps on mortgage-backed securities, and they're not being priced, they're not being priced. And then eventually the writing is on the wall, a significant number of institutions, enough institutions have acquired net short positions that then Deutsche Bank, I think, or it's Morgan. He has the swaps with Morgan Stanley, and I think he has them with Deutsche Bank. That they finally acquire their own net short position. They unwind their long position. I guess in that case they were naked and they just needed to hedge that position. So anyway, they acquire a net short position themselves, and then they go ahead and they mark Michael Burry's swaps, and then they're massively up because that's it. Because if none of the major parties who essentially have dominion over the system, if none of them stand to gain from the system falling apart, then the system won't fall apart. Except by natural causes, right? You won't be able to be an agent of revolution that brings it down. It will collapse perhaps under its own weight, but something like you won't be able to force the issue. But if you can, right? So that's essentially that kind of fighting to the death image there from Sun Tzu. But if you build them a golden bridge and you say, look, here's what I'm going to do. You can exit now or later. The ones that exit sooner get something out of it. The ones that exit later, bye-bye. I'm going to tell you, right, I'm not going to do anything crazy revolutionary. I'm just going to adopt the strategy that you guys are familiar with. And so this is exactly how this is going to go. And you know this is exactly how this is going to go because look at what I've done over the past year. You have no more out. You have no more bearishness. You have, okay. Now, does it mean the GameStop's going to, $100,000 a share and, all that? I have no idea, right? If this is really going to be Bitcoin or a lot of this is going to depend on how Ryan Cohen actually invests the money that he's actually able to accrete. But the company value is going to go up. And we already know at these prices that so many of these swaps are underwater. So very interesting. Dingus Pingus, thank you. Oh, this is from earlier. I'm like way behind in the comments. Sorry, dogs. Sorry, kings. Kings, forgive me. This is going all the way back when Master was just busting my balls. It's all good, man. It's all good, man. I'm just playing with you. I know you're playing. You know I'm playing. Yeah, man. But hopefully also not 0 DTE. Oh, nice, Ronnie. Or nice DOBTF2. Thank you. Sorry, Guido. Yes, I did. Ruben Schwarzfuss. I would like to see the metadata on how many times GameStop investor relations. That's a good point. I wonder, you have Stolzfuss as a last name. Does your first name do you go by Ruben or Reuden? I wonder. Like February of next year? Enlighten me. Oh, April. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting couple months, right? So that big sort of shoot up movement in MicroStrategy only happened in the first 2 months. So MicroStrategy went from like $30 to like 150 something in the first 2 months back after the first accretive offering. So we can bounce back over there. Oh, this is 1 minute. It's down 2, actually. Interesting. Back we go into this little thing. It's so funny looking at this on the log scale. You see how small that first move is compared to later. So, all right. So let's zoom in. Got to dig deeper. Oh no! How do I? That's too close now. How do I? Oh, this happens sometimes on TradingView. I'll just refresh the page. There we go. Let's try that again. There we go. All right. So, yeah, this was up to in the 130, so like 130 something. And their first accretive offering was December 7th, so here. Right, so they had gotten up to like 35 a share, and they went down to all the way back down into the 20s for just like a couple days, and then the offering was completed on the 11th. Monday, one more down day, and then sayonara, kings. All just wow. But of course, a lot of this had to do with the fact that they had already acquired a fair amount of Bitcoin. I think they had already acquired around $1 billion in Bitcoin in here, and I think Bitcoin really ripped into early 2021. So part of this had to do with that. So I mean, temper expectations. But as far as what GameStop could do, right? We don't have, interestingly, we don't have swaps on GameStop coming up. We don't have more until after late June. June 30th is kind of the next big cluster. So just clean this up a little bit. So like after earnings. So basically, after we get through this kind of we're pretty much in the clear until late June. And then I think there's some in July, not very much, some in August, pretty much this kind of late June, early July kind of area. So I could see us, right, maybe we move down, we grind a little bit down here, and then we start to move, basically, I don't know, get up into the 40s or the 30s or something like that by Q1 earnings. So maybe we go back up there. How high? Don't know how high. Maybe we go higher. Maybe because we're also going to we have tons of cat errors, tons of FTDs that still need to get, moved back onto the tape here. So maybe it goes even higher. Who knows? But I could see us getting into the 30s, 40, definitely back at least as high as we were, but maybe we go higher. Who knows? But, this sort of span, I think, will be the time span we'll be looking at. And then maybe a cool off right afterwards. We do have more swaps in October, and then we kind of do this thing again. So it might look like last year in terms of the cycles, although maybe not necessarily the degree to which we had that upward volatility, something like that. I did this again. It wasn't super visible. You guys get what I'm talking about. We are, though. We are here. Dingus. We are here. This is it. Cheers to Swag. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the encouragement. Like I said, I always love that it gets me charged up to hear how much you guys appreciate it. So even just like leaving a comment or something like that, like really means a lot to me. I spent a lot of hours on this stuff, So at the end of the day, especially some of these stretches too, where it's just weeks and weeks and weeks, and I got to be like, well, it's another week, and Max Payne's at 24. So see you next week. All right, that's not as bad. That they might print for you. They might. You mean the qualified contingent trades? You talking here? Oh, man, the comments are so far away. I can't even. Man. Sorry, there's so many comments. I see why people do the super chats thing. There's so many. Which is great. I'm glad you guys are all stoked. This is awesome. I don't know what that is. I'll come back to that. I'll keep looking. Oh, nice, dog. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, I'm not covered right now because I don't know what's going to happen. I know we're going to get that price up like once the earnings, once the completion's announced. So I'm just like, I don't want to get squeezed out of my calls. Can you double click on the price action? Well, I don't know where we were. Double click on the price action. Oh, I didn't know that. Helpful. Thank you, Sam. Depending on how they price, depending on how they estimate the expansion of the float, I don't know how they're going to price in the expansion of the float. So if I basically did it by like a worst case scenario, it's like it's still higher than 25. Best case scenario, it's like 27, like 27.60 something. So it's going to be probably 26 something. Is my guess what the new floor will be essentially. But it will fluctuate within that. It'll fluctuate because if it gets invested, if it's just cash, then if it's just cash, it's not going to fluctuate very much. But if it gets plowed into Bitcoin, it might. And we can go look at the BTC. That's the other thing too. I was saying this earlier this week. Now I got to look at Bitcoin charts. I looked at them a little bit, but now I'm like, oh man, now I got to read all more charts. Like, I don't know the charts, but we love charts here. That's what we do. We love the charts. So apparently I'll be reading Bitcoin charts now too. Yeah, it didn't look good. If they could afford to, I imagine they would have closed them. It's going on now, dog. It's going on now. It's happening now. That's my, yeah. I said we could talk about that sometime, but it's going on now. If you were talking about the swaps, no, it wasn't. That's right. He originally had it as the 28th, though. Back. Oh, did we just get one? I wasn't even looking. Oh, no. No, that's okay, though. Oh, where did SPY end up? 553. Maybe we got SPY news. Oh, okay. I guess Trump said there's going to be pharma tariffs. Which is lame. Wait. I mean, maybe they're good tariffs, but like they're going to use that as an excuse to like dump everything. Which I don't know. Maybe it doesn't affect GME. I don't know. Pharma are they good? I don't know, man. I don't really know macroeconomics. Yeah, essentially yes. But the way that we'll know that is we're gonna because where do they get all these shares, man? Right? Like you're telling me the price went down, but somehow they materialized 2 million shares. How did that happen? They boofed it. FTDs, definitely. Strategic fails. They just pump stuff into ETFs. Yeah. So in T plus an indeterminate number of days based on exemptions and extensions and margin calls and all that, sometime within the next 29 to 32 or 35 or 32 trading days or somewhere in there, something's going to happen. So could be Monday, could not. Because they're not going to, they said they expected it by April 1st. So maybe it happens on Monday. I don't know. We'll see. Are we just a better MicroStrategy? Yeah, we're starting off way like better off than they started off because like Saylor had to pull Saylor had to use those accretive capital raises, the convertible note stuff, to pull MicroStrategy out of its like issue. But we're already out of the issue. Like last year, we're already out of the issue, and don't need this to not be in an issue. So this is just icing on the cake. And our first convertible is already going for 1.5 billion rather than just 600 million. So yeah. Ooh, not sure how long the blackout is, but they're probably not allowed to until the offering's done, is my guess, at least. Not sure if they have more to announce. We don't even know what's going to go on with Nat Taylor. Maybe we won't hear anything with that or with PSA, but yeah, they probably have to wait until that offering's done. Yeah, right. We're not sure. Not sure if it would be the same thing. But the thing is, like, it is going to keep raising our floor. Like, even if we just sit on that cash, it's just floor up, floor up, floor up, floor up, floor up. Yeah, and collect interest. Don't know. Good thought. Oh, wait, did we get a DFB tweet? Did we? No, we didn't. What? Saggy, what are you talking about, man? Hey, Short Fridays is here. What's up, Kurt? What's up, everybody? They can pay out cash, but like, yeah, I don't exactly get how that works. It's like I got to spend some more time on exactly how this works. Um, because like if the company has, right, like think about this. If they have, if there's let's say they have this 1.5 billion and it's redeemable for cash later, and it's up to GameStop's discretion. If that 1.5 billion is if it's in Bitcoin or something, and for them to sell off like $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, that's going to bring down the Bitcoin market. And maybe they just don't want to do that. And then there's a tax consideration because they took profits. It may be easier for them just to pay out shares rather than have to go get that cash. Like in order to facilitate the transfer of that cash, the cost for doing that may be excessive. So, but if you can just transfer shares, and then yes, okay, on paper, the shares are worth more than the cash that you're transferring, but the cost to you of that cash may be less, right? So the cost of transferring that cash, making that liquid. I guess that's kind of what makes sense. I was trying to make sense what's up with like the 130% clause where like they can't be redeemed for shares if GameStop is under $38.80, which is interesting. Yeah, he might on Tuesday. Yeah, so I think that everything that happened last year with Roaring Kitty, I think that was the that was the Kansas City Shuffle, man. He was always the Kansas City Shuffle. It's him. He's the Kansas City Shuffle. This is the and he even said that, right? He even said that. But that's how it works, right? Like the mark is aware that they are being conned, but by acting on their awareness of the con, they actually only avoid the false con, but by avoiding the false con, they actually walk into the real con. So it's like whatever they thought they were doing with, I don't know, GameStop last summer, I don't know, buying the at the market offerings and things like that. I think it had to do with that, and whatever they were doing in the fall here, like, I don't know, just distracted them from the real strategy, which this is what right, this is what he said. This has always been a Ryan Cohen play. The long-term play on GameStop has always been, number one, do you think Ryan Cohen is not a doofus? But number two, do you believe in Ryan Cohen? Do you believe in the transformation of the company? And the Gameshire stop-away transformation, I think you better believe now. I think this is believe land. Much love out there to all the Ohioans. Depends when we get that announcement. If we get the announcement after market close on Tuesday, then I think there's a decent chance that Monday, Tuesday, the price stays on the lower side. But we'll see. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, it's great. The more the merrier. We're here learning. We're here working. We're here researching, sharing what we find, and get some great questions from everybody in the community. It's great. It's a great time. Red stars from Richard Newton, right? If you check out his charts. Actually, do I have one of his charts I can show you guys? This one? No. This one? Google Sheets? No. Oh, this one? No. This one? Here it is. Right. So like this is one of like the charts that Richard shows. Like this is a screenshot of like one of his charts from one of his videos, Richard Newton's videos. By the way, if you're new to the channel here, I'd really recommend that, and are new to sort of GME YouTube in general, go check out Richard Newton. Go check out Richard Newton's stuff. He's really excellent. He's been working on this with greater detail and with greater consistency than I have for a longer period of time. So he's really great. His videos are really excellent. He even does stuff on the weekends, which is fantastic. So really respect Richard's work, and been watching stuff of his for the better part of the last year, amid all the excitement. So it's been great to, he's it's like a godsend to have him out there too. Like I swear, like the majority of the community probably wouldn't actively have half of the stuff like kind of in mind, right? Lots of people work on different stuff, but Richard does a great job of bringing stuff together and his own research down his own avenue. So really appreciate that. Go follow him if you have a chance. Backwoods DGen, what's up, man? I'll have to call you Joshua now. Very good. Yeah, right. So a lot of people, I guess, talking about this like arbitrage trade, I suppose. Like if there's like to make money off of a discrepancy between the pricing of the shares and the pricing of the bonds, like it's possible to, I guess, enter into a trade, right, where you have the bonds, like you're long the bonds, but you're short the stock if you think that it's undervalued. And there's like, you're getting paid an interest rate and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. It seems to me difficult to arbitrage these bonds. I don't even know how you would do that. How you would profit off of these, especially because GameStop like holds all the cards. Um, you're short the stock, but you have these. I think that's the thing. See, this is a great question. So from this is Backwoods Degenerate for those of you who don't know, right on Twitter, Backwoods Degenerate, Joshua Carrier. So I don't know how you would arbitrage these, and I think maybe these are structured specifically in a way to make these convertible notes such that you can't arbitrage them. There's no interest rate, and the company can decide to just give you cash. So if you're short the stock to arbitrage these, and the company decides after 5 years to give you cash, you have nothing but a really underwater short position. So I don't know how you would do that. I don't know that there's an arbitrage trade here. I mean, you can still price the stock down like a lot and it not have to do with arbitrage, but indeed. Yes, he was. No, so they did the convertible senior notes thing. Yeah, man. I talk to Richard all the time. It's really awesome. Like every day. I'm very privileged to be included in that group. Thank you very much, Moo. Dude, what are you doing? I don't understand this. Like you're really persistent on this theme. Like a little bit is funny, like a lot is aggressive. Yeah. It might. It's a lot of, I mean, for to have all this volume and then the price not go anywhere. I still can't believe we got 96 million volume yesterday. 50 million up, but 96 million volume down. Yeah, something's got to give there. What that means. Yeah, I increasingly wonder to what extent like how that would play into the overall strategy if it is Sultan. I mean, maybe he will be involved at some stage. Maybe he's even just like psychological warfare stuff. Like he's just um a threat to institutions like that. Cohen could bring in like oil money from the desert and just somebody will be there to buy the notes even if you don't, like kind of a thing, even if Sultan does nothing. It has to, because ultimately Bitcoin is finite, and actually it will decrease in terms of how much there is, right? Because people become locked out of their wallets. There's already like 3 to 4 million Bitcoin that's inaccessible, so there can only be 21 million, and 3 to 4 million are inaccessible. They exist, they're out there on the blockchain, but you can't transact with them. You can't transact with them because they're locked in wallets that have no keys. Yeah. So eventually, like that'll keep happening to a certain extent. I mean, you'll have the people will create strategic Bitcoin reserves because governments will, so that there is some, so that it can be used. But they will run out of Yeah, I think it's in, but not for a while. Like it'll stop. So every number of years, like the number of bitcoins created per year halves. I think it's supposed to run out in like 2140. Will be like the date that the last Bitcoin is mined, and then that'll be it. But dollars will always inflate because they're printed, right? Well, actually, we'll have a. They might not always inflate, but any number of a couple things will happen. One, we don't solve the population crisis, and so we go through population decline. That there are some ways around that. So part of the reason why the economy can keep growing is because we have economies of consumption. Not entirely, right? But they're driven by consumption in the sense of needs, right? Needs equal value. So value originates from human beings. So the more human beings you put into an economy, the more needs can be met, the more value can be abstracted based on possible exchanges between those members. So if you increase the number of potential exchanges, you increase the amount of value that can be abstracted into a currency system. And so I think it grows exponentially with the number of possible transactions. So this is why lowering costs, like introducing liquidity into a market, increases the value of what's being traded in that market, since you increase the amount of capital that can be brought to bear on transactions. And so because there is more money in it, then the goods that are traded on it become more valuable, something like that. So if this is, I guess, why certain economists are kind of a little bit worried about what Trump is doing, because they're like, no, we just need to, right? Like a lot of this whole like open borders thing and replacement migration has to be with like, oh, if we connect, right? The maximum inclusivity thing is about the people who are currently sitting on the nodes, who sit on these key nodes in the financial world. So the financial system is here, the political system is there, like the unlimited migration, globalization, all of that is about let's call it a financial aristocracy that's tied in with politics, that's tied in with, I don't know, maybe some old royal families, government, stuff like that, right? That currently occupy these positions. And simply by operating, right, simply by running the financial system as it works, they cement their status in the very high echelons of society, and they have tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, and they have permanent access to the means by which to acquire that. Okay, so how do you do that, right? If you think about it, like how do financial companies, like how do market makers make money, right? They remove risk. This is why they hedge, right? They remove risk through hedging so that they can become wealthier simply by volume of transactions. That's how scalpers make money, right? So scalpers make money in the market, scalping and trading. Like they don't care about how individual stocks are doing. They have a set of rules, and they rule trade, trigger trade, stuff like this, such that their profitability is solely dependent upon their volume, right? So they could have like a 52% win rate or something, as long as their position sizing doesn't forecast a drawdown that's going to destroy their account, that's going to blow up their account in like 3 trades. Then all they have to do is just run it. They just need to run it. And then the more volume, the more trades they take, the more money they make. Since it's, probabilistic certainty that they gain money, that they profit in the long run across the full iteration of trades. Okay. So the idea there is just get more people into the system. Okay. Just get more people into the system. Well, certain things are easier to market than others, right? So like it's harder to market stuff to kids. Like it's harder to make money off of kids, except in certain domains. But it's like super easy to get actually like the easiest demographic to get money out of is like women, like single women. I think it's something like single women have like the highest expenditure, like highest consumptive expenditure out of like any demographic in the US. So just market everything. Like number one, keep women single. Number two, put them in jobs so that they make money. Number three, don't like by keeping them single, you also don't put them in families. So then they just spend money on consumption to distract themselves from feeling bad that they don't have families and feeling alone and all that, whatever, do this whole thing. You can kind of get guys to do it too, but not as well because guys just like gamble and here we are, right? But you can do that too, right? You can get guys to gamble. So that's another one. So you keep people single. That way you keep guys gambling and, women catching flights and not feelings. And, well into your 40s and all that. And so, okay, you can do that. And, Robinhood's about that. Kind of like, pornography exploits that. But anyway, you just try to create technologies or you create infrastructure to just connect as many people as possible. And by doing so, you increase the number of potential transactions in a given economy. And that way you increase the value of the goods and services of that economy by increasing its liquidity. So then you need more liquidity so you can print more money. The economy gets bigger, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So if you shrink that down, if you actually remove the number of possible transactions that you can engage in, if you make it harder to conduct business or do trades, then you start to devalue the economy. And so then you end up, even if your money stays exactly the same, you end up inflating the currency by decreasing the number of transactions, the number of potential transactions to which that money as an abstraction of value can map to. So that's why people are in part concerned with like Trump's tariff thing. Is that going to alienate too many people in the global economy, blah, 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 and that's not going to work. And then the number of transactions go down. Okay. Also, all developed countries. So typically countries that are highly conscientious, so that have conscientious traditions. So that's trait conscientiousness. Like, I don't know if you guys watch any of, like if you took any of like Jordan Peterson's courses or watched his like lecture courses, like back in the day, anybody who's familiar with like big five models of personality, Peterson's just very, very personality and his transformations talks a lot about that particular course. So a lot of people are familiar with that. So if you know big five stuff, trait conscientiousness has to do with things like industriousness, planning for the future, orderliness, disgust sensitivity. Interestingly, conscientiousness is an interesting trait. But something about so Western culture and like so like Sinosphere cultures and Western cultures are very, very high in conscientiousness. And in fact, like the more you go into Northern Europe too, from Southern Europe, so like Britain, Scandinavia, Germany, like Germanic peoples for some reason are like insanely conscientious, like obsessively conscientious, and also highly disgust sensitive, which is how probably Hitler was able to exploit the German people into like, exterminating the Jews and stuff like that. Anyway, without going down a rabbit hole here, like conscientiousness is very important. But what seems to be very interesting is that any country that has high conscientiousness, and now I think probably something like Korea, right? Korea has the worst population problem. Japan following it. These are cultures with crazy high conscientiousness, crazy high duty, discipline, honor, forethought, planning, self-sacrifice, all of this, massively high. And they've absolutely like destroyed their populations, or they have massive fertility problems. Because everybody's like, no. Before I have kids, I have to become economically solvent and fiscally responsible and well off to a certain point. I have to have everything right and organized and together and before I have kids. Well, apparently if you do that to like a crazy competitive degree and your whole population does that, your women pass their peak fertility. They exhaust their ovarian supply before they have children, right? So 88% of a woman's ovarian supply is exhausted by the age of 30, which means 88% of her chances to have kids are gone by age 30. It's in excess of 90. I think it's 98% by age 40. So you end up with population supply. So that's another concern there. So the replacement migration thing is like to get everybody into a way to make up for that fertility crisis problem, because it's a band-aid, right? It's a band-aid on a deeper issue. That's like, I think, in my opinion, that like the population issue, the fertility crisis, and how that relates to our financial system and how we've built our economies of consumption. There's something in there. I don't know exactly where, it's something like we've probably this idea of consumerism, right? So a religion based around consumption, or like the way that we have built our economy and society has not. And some people will call it capitalism, which is different than consumerism. Some people, like the Marxist critique, right, is that capitalism is identical with a free market economy. And free market economies inevitably breed consumerism, which is the same as capitalism and the love of money, and et cetera, right? I mean, they're distinct things, but a lot of people are going to combine all those things under the umbrella of capitalism because of the Marxist critique. But consumerism, right, is the worship of consumption, right? My meaning in life is achieved by ingesting things, like acquiring things, having, eating, consuming, learning, knowing, whatever it is, experiencing, all of this, seeing, hearing, like all kind of anything that goes in you, anything that fills you up. So that is right. It's a material consumptiveness too, but also consumption of experiences and emotions, right? All of this, everything is awesome and epic and amazing, right? All of that has to do with that. So okay, but we don't have to talk about the deeper problems of society. The thing about Bitcoin, right? So this relates back to Bitcoin, is that if we get into a situation where the population does start to seriously decline in the Western world, and we don't, that replacement migration thing, right, doesn't, well, because you want to be careful with that, because if you really push it too hard, then everything will collapse and you won't have that economy anyway. You could see some kind of inflationary issue with the contraction of the number of people who can possibly engage in value transactions. Maybe with like internet, e-commerce stuff, which has massively expanded that. There's to a degree you don't have to worry about that. But anyway, that's the problem there. And Bitcoin's not going to be subject to that because there's a finite amount. And that is what I had to say about that. There we go. Indeed, man. My comments are so. I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to keep up. I know the Sun Tzu quote. Yeah, man. It's time, right? When it's time for me to start bringing in the humanities PhD, like it's over, man. It's over. This is bogus. Yeah, for sure, man. It's nothing but the hollering right now. I think it's not now. It's inevitable. I mean, it seemed that way last summer, but now that it's really clear, it's like really clear. It's really clear. It's Gameshire stop away. It's Gameshire stop away. It's slow ass, and it's the Michael Saylor pathway to do that, which is super awesome. Can't even imagine. Could be, man. I don't know. Maybe the emoji tie line was really all. It's possible it really all had to do with last summer. I don't know. Maybe it is the fire. Maybe it is. This is the fire sale. What's up? All right, Banana Hammock. I have someone to introduce you to. It's his name is Oliver Holtz. Oh, what's up, man? Dude, he banned me, dog. I like talking to you guys. I don't know why he banned me. I can't tell you why. you have to ask it. Like, I didn't leave, man. He just banned me. Oh yeah. All right, good luck, dog. Potentially some great buying opportunities. Oh yeah. It's going to be exciting, man. It's going to be exciting. And it will be. That still has to happen. Yeah. 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 So here's the thing. We might not have, the sort of Bitcoin catalyst itself for like Saylor did in 2020, but we could have these strategic FTD catalysts, right? We could have the XRT stuff and the IWM stuff, millions of fails and the 8 billion cat errors back on, what was it, February 26th or something, February 18th. That all has to come due at some point. So that could be kind of like our additional component to institutions being like, oh, dog, it's time to go long. And then we get this wave, whatever happened this week is going to get, thrown onto the tape down the road. So yeah, highest short volume ever in history on GameStop. Yesterday, highest ever. That's a good question, Rehards. Let's go take a look. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. So let's pop out to the weekly. So we did bounce off this moving average here. Right here. Wait, is my face big or is it? You guys see? Let me do this so you can see. There we go. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a cool bounce. We do have this channel here. I think it's going to depend. I think, right, so this is what I was talking about 2 weeks ago, right? So when we were talking about the interest rate decisions, it did look to me like going forward, we're going to have, April might be volatile, but May, June, until we get the next BOJ decision and Fed decision, Fed meeting, we might be protected from too much more downside. So if we look at our PMO, this is the weekly. Yes, I mean, we kind of just crossed under here. We would need a pretty strong, I think, wave of, we're not super failing yet. If we got a big wave of liquidity in here, I don't know, like GameStop buying, is that going to be enough to push this up? Because $1.5 billion really is that going to be the thing that pushes up GameStop? We need another wave of liquidity here. Buying to come in. So like right here, right? To get momentum moving back to the upside. And people took profits in here. So the question is, do we end up looking like 2022? It's 21. All right, so I guess this happened earlier, right? So we were below here. All right, we're not looking as bad as 2020, late 2021. That's when we started to move down pretty strong in the bear market. So not as bad, and then we recovered in here, right? This is on our weekly. So we're not looking as bad. We're not looking as overbought. We're not looking as bearish as back there, but it's kind of neutral. It's kind of neutral. So we have to see what happens. We might leg up, especially based on those the interest rate decisions. So if we look at SPY, SPY doesn't look as good. SPY still looks like it's going to go to like 510. To be honest. Where do we close? 555 or whatever. Where are we right now? Back up to 554. So, yeah. But maybe we hang out. Like, we got this rally here. I don't know. We have to see. This doesn't look great. We're not really holding this super well. Like I said, we did reflect off of this this kind of historical support a bit. We have to see. I don't know how much SPY is going to be correlated with Bitcoin. Maybe Bitcoin ends up acting as like a hedge against equities. It looked pretty correlated with it in 22, 23. But who knows? Who knows? Fuckery abounds. Blatman. To call you Blin man for my Russian speaking audience. What to expect next week? When we get that announcement, when we get the announcement about the completion, I think that's going to be a signal that we start moving up. Maybe it'll take a full week of trading, kind of flat before something like that happens. Maybe we'll get pulled down a little bit by SPY, but we'll see. We have to see. It's amazing, man. I love to see it. Keep growing. Keep just you guys make the channel. Like, especially you share stuff. You send something over to some other person is invested in GameStop. Like, that helps, right? Like, I'm not an expert. I just put in the hours and just try to understand this as best I can and try to digest the hard work that other people are doing. And so, the more of us, even if I don't necessarily have anything novel to say, like, it's just one more person out there, one more node where somebody can happen upon something that may make or break their investment, right? And may make a difference between them getting to benefit from like this amazing journey that we've been on with this company, right? Versus not. So yeah, so definitely. I think so. Something like that. XRT's got to come off reg show. That's still not looking bueno. Malarkey Sue, yes, that is essentially what's happening. Well, forcing them in the sense of incentivizing them. That it is what would you say? Better, more in the interest of their profitability. He'll give them a path at which they can profit to a greater extent by being long, than avoid loss by staying short and doing all this manipulation with their positions. Yeah. Cheers, Wazir. I forget what that's from. That's from a video, man. That's from like I forget what that's from. Yeah, Ultimator showing that was correlated. Yeah. Silver charts. We can explain this a little bit. So the way a dark pool works, or the idea is, it's supposed to protect household investors by rerouting large orders by routing them to other large individual buyers, so they can buy an entire order at a spot price without it introducing a lot of volatility into the market. Now, that's really probably to protect the options market maker and everybody else who's trading, so that major institutions get good fills and all that. Right, so they use the market for reference prices, but without actually transacting it on lit exchanges. So when the trade happens, the volume will come onto. You'll be looking, right. So our volume exceeded like 40 million today. A lot of that, 75% of that was dark pool volume, meaning the volume was processed, but none of those orders actually came and affected the price action intraday. They used the intraday price action as a reference in order to price their orders, but they it did not actually affect the price. And so that's why we just kind of went, wah, 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 wah. We didn't really move because all the buying wasn't actually being transacted on the exchange that we were looking at in the open market. So what can also happen too is you can do strategic order flow rerouting. So essentially, like if you don't want an order, if you're a market maker and you don't want an order to hit the lit market, you can say that you found a buyer and then you take the order onto your order book. You supply liquidity to the prospective person who wanted to buy. You take their trade. You can reroute a big order from the lit market to you. You put it on your books, and then you go, oh yeah, we don't have the shares, but FTD. And then you do this whole FTD cycle like you would with options deliveries or with whatever, right? So you can FTD strategic order flow, right? with shorts, right? So it kind of works that way. So it doesn't hit the lit market. You just kind of make it go away and then make it reappear some other place, down the line. Cheers, Moo. Just trying to do my part, right? I'm in my mind, I have a dream, and that dream is in 10 years, we are all gathering at the shareholders meeting in Grapevine, Texas, and I can shake everybody's hands with your appropriate name tags in person. That's my dream, right? We can all bring our kids to the shareholders meeting, just like it's Berkshire Hathaway, out in Nebraska, but it's going to be Grapevine, Texas. And we can show each other our dope 1999 Pokemon cards and just have a day, right? That's the dream there. So I appreciate it. There are definitely people out there who've put a lot more into this than I have, but I'm privileged to be counted among some of them. So thank you. They could, but they just sold those for example, they sold 20 million shares at $20 and change in September. So if they bought them back at $22, that's not that's a bad short. Like that would be like they shorted their own shares and then took a loss, right? They took a 10% loss on their own shares. Not sure what that would achieve. You could stir up some volatility, but that's right. That's right. This is also happening today. Better close those GameStop positions. I did. There will be a recording. I think it was one of the first. I think it was our first topic today, Malarkey. So or Sue Malarkey. So you can go back and check it out there. Oh, dark pool is a thing, but don't be fooled. It is all fake. This is all fake. We would have nothing to talk about here if it weren't. This is all fake. This is all contrived. Right? Like when we trade options, we don't trade options with people. We trade options with computers run by the options market maker. This is why I have no problem, like when I take profits off of short calls that I know Wolverine Trading has to take, because they're the options market maker. I'm not taking trades. I'm not taking trades from retail traders. That's not who takes our trades. Nope. A blackout is a period in which insiders cannot buy shares. They cannot trade, lest they be convicted of insider trading. He was involved. I mean, we've seen where he's been involved, but I think basically what he was saying with his tweet in January, that I will wait for you. I think he said, like, I'm just going to, he was trying to orchestrate something. In January. He was trying to kind of continue to do the Wombo combo thing with Ryan Cohen, which worked for a bit. And Ryan Cohen's been making moves based off of the successes doing that. but nothing happened in January. And so after we didn't get anything the week of January OPEX, I think Ryan Cohen, I think Ryan Kitty just said, "Oh, okay, you're not doing something right now, so I'll wait for you." And I think this is why I posted also some of his tweets from the TA team, Ryan Cohen's tweets, that is, that I think Ryan Cohen was saying you're going to have to wait till March. Now, right? Back in December 30th, I think I posted about this, and I talked about this in my video, that like the next big move is going to happen in March. That's when Ryan Cohen is telling us the next big move is going to happen. You know exactly what we were going to look at between December 30th and now. I mean, that was trying to figure that out, but sure enough, that was we talked about that here all the way back then, and I was like March 26th. Sure enough, when do we get the convertible notes? March 26th, and everybody. Oh, I remember people were like, so some people post some of my stuff still on Supersonic because I'm banned. And there was like one guy repeatedly like, oh, this guy thinks like Ryan Cohen's talking to him. He thinks like Ryan Cohen's referring to some software thing like on March 26th with the 10-year position. Like this guy's such a shill and all that, whatever. What about now, dog? What about now? Yeah. So back to this. I know I'm not like keeping up with so many comments, which is great. I'm happy about this. I'm sorry I'm not going. I can't go too fast, right? Oh yeah, Richard knows his shit, man. Yeah, there's going to be something, right? We are going to get news about the Switch stuff. I think there's like the debut video, so that could be a big thing. I think this next, is it today, is like the launch of new Pokemon card deal or something too. So I'm very fortunate. Richard's very cool. He's very cool. Ooh, good find there, Patrick. I did not notice that. Where's Otherwise been? I haven't heard from Otherwise in the longest time. Is it the same here? Let's see. It's probably swap related. Maybe a bit more modest here. I mean, it did run down, not as sharply. It ran up a little bit and down. So, I mean, it's correlated with GME. This was probably swap related. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, something. I don't know what Sultan's role is, but we're gonna find out, I think. That wild card, yeah. Cheers, man. Welcome to the show. Yeah, come every Friday. It's a great time. It's a great time. Are you parents with a newborn? That's awesome. Congratulations, man. Congratulations on fatherhood. That's amazing. I can't wait to join you in the ranks. That's going to be so awesome. Monday, Tuesday. By Tuesday is what the company said. Hey, what's up, World Informer? Everything is good, man. Everything's peachy. I'm glad you're here. I don't know the answer to that. We'll have to look that up. If short volume is split adjusted, maybe somebody can look that up. Gonna get close. Tom always on the support. Appreciate you, Tom. One thing from Richard that has stuck that I can share. Well, apparently Richard is not even the best trader in his family. He apparently has a brother who's has his just like incredible like vision with trading and can just like go like look at charts and be like, Tesla calls now and just like does that and makes a lot of money. So that was really awesome. So Richard a lot of time will investigate things based on like, you know, his brother being like, this now calls go. So I don't know how that works, but he's hinted his admiration for his brother's ability to do that and how he can't replicate it. Yeah. 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 All right, guys. I am going to get dinner with my brother now. We're gonna go get some Asian fusion. My brother, who's also really, he has a collectibles business and he also trades and stuff like that. So very good. But yeah, just wanted to say very thankful to all you guys. Yeah, not medical advice on his way out too. Much love. Yeah, much love to the whole community. Like you guys, it's just so awesome. Like being able to meet you guys, hear your questions, like have be in this with people together. You know, rather than kind of dinking and dunking away on a computer alone. If this wasn't for you guys, if it wasn't for the community, everybody on Reddit who is with me all those months, right? Who came over to Twitter when I got banned. All you guys here on YouTube. Right, you guys who are watching me live on X, like all of this, people have joined recently, people have been around with a while. It's like it's so awesome to be able to go through this with you guys, and it's just like amazing to be here at this point in time to see like all this stuff, like GameShire stop away, and is GME acquiring Bitcoin, and like is slow ass for real? Like what's it going to be to see this like all be real right now is very surreal, and it's very exciting to experience with you guys and see it all play out. So looking forward to seeing what next week brings. I'm very excited to hear about that the completion of this offering and then see where we go from there. So have a really awesome weekend, you guys. Thank you much for another great stream, and we will see you. Yeah, we'll see you on Monday for Monday's video too. So cheers everybody.